Yo, what's good, everybody? I'm your boy Jajiro, and this is my Crush Vine build for Druid in Season 5. It's going to be dope. And this build is running no mythics, but I'll go over the mythic version of this build later.
I'm not ready yet.
Crush. The numbers. A few more rooms to clear here, and that should do it. Alright, this should be the last room here after these elites. Perfect. Alright, here we go. We're in the fight here. She is the Den Mother. Doing big damage, especially once they're stunned. Wow, no mythics, doing some significant damage. Pretty sweet. Uh-oh. Don't like that guy, though.
I'm not ready.
Don't like that guy. Just spams potions when that happens, guys. That guy will just one-shot you. Especially if you don't have the right armor on. But here we go. Not too bad. Alright, so that was a showcase of a Pit 101. So it shows without mythics that this build can really push. So let's go over all the aspects first. As for our gloves here, we have the accelerating aspect. And every time that we critically strike with our core ability, it increases our attack speed. Now moving down to the pants piece here, we went the Skinwalker's aspect. And when we're using our shapeshifting skills, it gives us the ability to heal. And if we're already full health, it gives us the ability to fortify. Now moving down to our weapon here, we went the subterranean aspect. Now this allows Poison Creeper to proc Landslide. And it also increases the damage we deal with our earth abilities. Now moving over to our totem, we went the aspect of retaliation. Now our core skills deal extra damage based on our fortify. Sweet. Now moving up to our first ring, we went the crash stone aspect, and this increases the critical strike damage of our earth abilities to crowd controlled enemies. And then finally for the necklace piece, we went the aspect of the aftershock. Now this will allow Landslide to proc twice, and it'll also increase the damage that Landslide does. Now moving over to the uniques, we went the Wild Hunger Boots. This is pretty much when we're shapeshifting. It increases our damage and it gives us a sweet multiplier. Now moving on to our chest and helmet combo, we went Insatiable Fury and Vasili's Prayer. Vasili's Prayer will make our earth skills werebear skills, and it'll also allow them to fortify us. And then Insatiable Fury will allow us to stay in werebear form permanently. The only time we won't be in werebear form is when we pop Cyclone or when we pop Poison Creeper. And Insatiable Fury will also increase the ranks we get to our werebear skills. So now that our earth skills are werebear skills, our earth skills get affected by Insatiable Fury too. I know it's complicated, but that's how it works. Now our last unique here, it really brings the build all together. It's the Earthbreaker's Ring. And this will allow our Landslide ability to spawn tectonic spikes. And while casting Landslide while within those tectonic spikes, it increases our chance to spawn additional pillars. Now that does it for all the uniques and aspects. Let's go over the tempering next. Now as for our one-handed weapon and our totem, we tempered on the chance to proc Landslide an additional time. And then I tempered damage to crowd controlled on my one-handed mace, and then I tempered critical strike damage on the totem. As for the gloves and pants in terms of tempering, I went lucky hit chance to stun and lucky hit chance to freeze. Now as for the gloves, I went straight flat damage. I was trying to temper critical strike damage on, but I couldn't, so I just took damage as a filler. And as for the pants, I tempered on maximum life. Now, as for the ring, I went good old critical strike damage, of course, as the temper, and then went lucky hit chance to restore our primary resource. It's always good to have some sort of extra resource regeneration. And then as for our necklace piece for tempering, I went earth, critical strike chance, and I went resource cost reduction. Now that does it for all the tempering. Let's go over the gems next. Guys, you know what it is. In your armor, always put rubies. Increased maximum life is damage reduction. As for the weapons, we went emeralds. This increases our critical strike damage. And as for our ring and our neck piece here, just go the stone that helps with the resistance that you need the most. And I don't normally do this, but these are the stats here if you guys want to take a quick look at the stats. All right, so we covered everything on the gear from the aspects to the gems to the tempering. Let's go over our abilities next. So as for our main primary skills or abilities, whichever you want to call it, we're going Poison Creeper, then we're going Landslide, and we're going the version of Landslide that pretty much increases the critical strike damage we deal when we use Landslide. And basically to summarize, every time that we immobilize or stun an enemy, it gives us something called a Terra Mote, and that Terra Mote grants us the ability to increase our critical strike chance and our critical strike damage. Then we went Earthen Bulwark, and we went the version of Earthen Bulwark that gives us the unstoppable proc. Then we went good old Petrify just for some fat damage on the bosses and some increased spirit regeneration. Then we went Cyclone Armor. This is one of my favorite abilities. It just gives us a flat non-physical damage reduction. And of course we go Maul as our basic ability. I simply just have this when we don't have enough resource and we're not generating enough spirit. Maul comes in handy. All right, so that was all the primary or main abilities. Let's go over the secondary skills next. As for our secondary skills, we're going Wild Impulses to increase the damage we deal with our core abilities. Then we're moving down here to Predatory Instinct, and this increases our critical strike chance to close enemies. And then we put a full 3 into Iron Fur, and this reduces the damage we take while in werebear form. Moving down, we're putting a full 3 into Clarity. Now this increases our critical strike chance when we proc Poison Creeper. Now this is where we put a lot of secondary skills to work here. We're going a full 3 into Crushing Earth to increase the damage we deal to stun or immobilized enemies. Then we're putting a full 3 into Safeguard. Now critical strikes allow our Earth skills to fortify us. And then we're putting a full 3 into Stone Guard so that when we have over 50% of our health as Fortify, our Earth skills deal more damage. Then we're dropping 1 down in Neurotoxin, but what we really want is End Venom. If you can get extra skill points into End Venom, always go it. It increases the damage we deal, our critical strike damage, to poison enemies. And we're poisoning our enemies with Poison Creeper. Then we're putting a full 3 into Mending. This simply just increases our maximum life when we're in Werebear form. And then we're putting a full 3 into Provocation just to give us an overpowered proc. Next, moving down, we're putting a full 3 into Defiance. This increases the damage we deal with nature magic skills like Landslide. And then we're putting a full 3 into Circle of Life so that our nature magic skills give us life unhit. And then finally, we're putting a full 3 into Quick Shift, and this increases the damage we deal with our shape-shifting skills. And now that we have our Earth skills or Werebear skills, that makes Landslide a shape-shifting skill. And if you're wondering about heightened senses and defensive posture, where we're getting those abilities from is the Wild Heart Hunger and the Vasili's Prayer. Now, last but not least, for our key passive here, we went Earthen Might. You could also go Earth Sign Strength if you feel like you're a little bit squishy. But Earthen Might helps us with our resource management, and it also guarantees critical strikes on Landslide, which is huge. Now, if you go Earth Sign Strength, you're going to have a huge maximum life increase, and you're also going to have a huge damage increase. The only thing I found that was troubling is I had to push more buttons. I had to use Maul way more to manage my resources. But if you guys want to skip all that noise and go over to Mobalytics and check the build out for yourself, it's called the Season 5 Crush Find Endgame Build. And I have the no mythic and mythic version of this build there for you. So what I'll do for you guys is I'll include a link in the description and in the comments for you, so you can simply click and go check the build out there. And guys, the mythic uniques that I do put on this build is Tyrael's Might and the Ring of Star of the Skies. And the reason I'm showing you the non-mythic version of the build today is because I want to show you that it's achievable to reach the end game meta without having mythic uniques. But if you guys would like to see my builds with the mythic uniques on, let me know down in the comments. Now that does it for all the primary, secondary skills, the Mobalytics plug, and the discussion about the mythic uniques. Let's move on to the Spirit Boons next. Now as for the Spirit Boons, we're going Weariness. This is to reduce the damage we take from elites. Then we're going Iron Feather to increase our maximum life. Then we're going Avian Wrath to increase our critical strike damage. Then we're going Pack Leader. This will give us a chance to reset the cooldown on Poison Creeper. And then finally, we're going Masochistic to give us life on hit on our shape-shifting skills. Well, that's the Spirit Boons. You guys know what's next. We're going over to that Paragon board. Now, as for our first glyph on the Paragon board, we're going Earth and Sky, and this increases the damage we deal with our nature magic skills to crowd-controlled enemies. Don't worry about the vulnerable part. Now, moving up to our second board here, we're going Earth and Devastation, and this increases the critical strike damage we deal with our Earth skills to crowd-controlled enemies. And as for the glyph, we're going Keeper. Now, this increases our damage and our companions' damage. Now, moving over to our third board here, we're going Survival Instincts to increase the damage we deal while in Werebear form. And as for the glyph, we're going Good Old Werebear to give us damage reduction while in Werebear form. Moving up a board, we're going the Thunderstruck board. Now, we're not actually going Thunderstruck on this board. What I wanted here, though, was the critical strike damage. I wanted the lightning resistance and more critical strike damage. And as for the glyph, we're going Spirit so that our critical strikes increase the damage our enemies take. Now, I'm not going to do this in any particular order, but what we did was we added an extra board at the sacrifice of a glyph. And that extra board here is Heightened Malice, and this increases the damage we deal when there's 3 or more poison enemies around us. And we also went Ancestral Guidance, which increases the damage we deal when we spend our spirit. And then finally down here, we went the Constricting Tendrils board, but we didn't actually go the legendary node. We simply just went the Outmatch glyph to increase the non-physical damage we deal to non-elites and bosses. And what I like about the Constricting Tendrils board is this node right here called Courage. Look at the maximum life we get from simply putting Outmatch as our glyph. So the hard part's over, the Paragon board is down. Let's go over that rotation demonstration next. So here we are for the rotation demonstration. It's quite simple. You can simply pop Petrify first if you want, and then simply toggle between Landslide and Poison Creeper. And pretty much the rest is history. If you feel like you're running low on your resource management there, your spirit, just simply proc Maul, and Maul will get you that spirit that you need. If you feel like you're stunned or CC'd or whatever, you can pop Earthen Bulwark, continue on. Just keep popping Landslide and Poison Creeper. And you can pop Cyclone every so often if you feel like you're staggered and you're kind of stuck between enemies, and it'll push them back for you. But that's pretty much the rotation. It's so simple. It's just Landslide and Poison Creeper back to back. So that was a rotation demonstration. Now I feel like I should prove this build by going into a tier 7 Infernal Horde. Now why this is good is because the Infernal Horde is the new meta, because simply you can get gold, you can get items, you can get materials, whatever you need from the Infernal Hordes. But before we start, I have one question here for you guys. If there's anything you could change about Druid, what would that be? Let me know down in the comments. All right, here we go. We're in the Infernal Horde tier 7. Let's do this. Oh, I'm like, why is everyone taking no one? Gotta watch those guys with the shields on them, man. They reduce damage. Nuts.
Must wait a moment.
All right, here we are on the first wave. We're going into our second wave, and I'm going to go Hellborn, grant 1 additional Aether. Here we go. Oh, Aether Fiends, gotta be careful. They can one-shot you. Just try not to stand right in front of them.
I'm not ready yet.
Ooh, a lot of poison damage there. Just be very careful. Oh, yeah, they're trying to go in X Games mode here. Oh, there we go. We got some Hellborn. These guys dropped sweet Aether for us. Boom, here's a sweet one. Aether events spawn 50% faster. Let's go. I'm frozen. No, I'm not. I'm back.
I must wait a moment.
Yeah, I might possibly get murked once, but let's hope for the best. Here we go. Ooh, Aether Fiends, you gotta be careful for. Especially when they raise that thing above their head. Boom. Not today, Aether Fiend. Alright, so this is where we don't get necessarily a good one, but what I tend to go for is Soul Spires, pull foes forward. The best ones you want are typically the ones that spawn Hellborn or Aether Fiend spawn additional Aether. But let's see what we get throughout this run. Ooh, so now we have Hellborn grant additional Aether and Invigorate. I always go Invigorate. Not only does that tell you that we're going to get Hellborn in this, but we're also going to be Invigorated. Just murking these guys. Nice. You gotta get out of that fire. You see that fire fall from the sky like that, guys? Get out of that. That is poison. That is poison and fire damage at the same time. And that's why items like Tyrael's Might make this a lot easier, but this is just to prove that this build is possible. Alright, cool. So increase our potion cooldown for defeating the council. Rounds 15 Aether, and this is our last wave, wave 9. Let's go. Whoa! Oh! Almost bit the bullet there. There we go. Alright, boom, we did it. Off to the boss fight now. There we go. We got our using our Maul there to get the our spirit going again. It's because we're only fighting 3 guys right now, right? So we're not getting all that spirit back. But man, it's pushing. Boom. I'm actually digging the single target damage on the non-mythic version too. Whoa, whoa, you don't want to get caught up in those lunatics, man. Those guys will just off you. But yeah, let's go. Oh, see, low on spirit there again. Got to use that Maul to get that back up. So you can see why Earthsign Strength, you might be more tanky, right? For like tier 6 and stuff, but that Earthen Might gives you the ability to maybe refill all your spirit. Okay, last one. Let's see what we can do here. Can we one-hand it? Don't want to risk it now. Let's go. It's doing good damage though, man. Gotta keep clicking away. Boom! Still got some big crits there. Oh, we got some big crits there. He's trying to murk me there. He's trying to, like, he just did his ultimate. Not today! Not today, Brem. Boom! Tier 7, no mythics. Let's go. Alright, now this is my advice here. I always open up the 60 because you get these ancestral items with these greater affixes. But where I usually spend most of my time and my resources is here at the Spoils of Materials. And as you can see here, we got a Stygian Stone with investing into the Spoils of Materials. And we also got a boatload of Nether Iron, or Neath Iron, which is dope. Alright guys, that was a tier 7 Infernal Horde, man. We managed to push it with no mythics. Awesome. But let's go over that build summary next. As for our skills here, we're going Maul. That's just our basic ability to help us with our resources. Then we're going Landslide. Then we're going Earthen Bulwark. Then we're going Cyclone, Poison Creeper, and Petrify. As for the aspects and the uniques, I will chapter that for you in this video. You can go watch it there. As for the gems, we're going rubies in the armor. We're going emeralds in the weapons. And as for the neck piece and the rings, we're going whatever resistance you need help with the most. As for the spirit boons here, we're going Weariness, then we're going Iron Feather, Avian Wrath, Pack Leader, and Masochistic. As for the Paragon board, I'll also chapter that for you in this video, or you guys can go check it out over at Mobalytics. Well, that does it for my Crush Vine Druid build. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys are struggling to get through the game, or you need help with experience or getting the gear that you saw today, come over to the live stream and I'll be more than happy to help you grind and get that gear. So that does it for me, guys. I'm your boy Jadiro, signing out for now. Peace.